everybody. So, now, I'd like to welcome up for the Q&A. You guys enjoy the film? Yeah. Let us welcome to the stage. Let's welcome back Babak. You back there? There he is. Babak Anvari, everybody. Lead actress, Narges Rashidi. Yeah! Also going to welcome to this, you two in the center. I'm also going to welcome to the stage to the moderator here today. Is actually a Sundance alumni, a Sundance NEXT FEST alumni. He was here with the most infamous conversation we've had at our festival, and he's going to moderate today. He's screenwriter of the film The Guest, You're Next, and the upcoming Blair Witch. Please welcome up Simon Barrett. And last but not least, a true legend of cinema. I do not have the lung capacity to name all the hits that he's made, but it ranges from The Blues Brothers to American Werewolf in London to Three Amigos, which I love so much, and so many more films. Mr. Warmth, please welcome to the stage Director John Landis. I'll leave it to you guys.
Okay, we'll probably open this up to the audience at a certain point, but if your questions are horrible, I will invoke moderator privilege, because this is like the only time I've ever had this power. Normally I'm at the whims of the moderator, but tonight it's me. So I want to talk really quickly. So this film, so I read in an interview with you that this film originally you wanted it to contain the Thriller video.
Yes. I actually have a bone to pick with you because that was Thriller. It was like one of the major sources of nightmare throughout my childhood. I couldn't even it caused so much horror. And I was genuinely
Mine
so
too.
scared of it.
Well, where were you when it came out?
It came out before I was born, but I still.
Bastard.
We had it on a Betamax tape, and my brother actually reminded me that I couldn't even be in the same room, at nighttime at the tape, because I was afraid that the werewolf would come out.
Who showed it to you?
My brother.
He's mad at me. Where were you?
I was born. Shit.
So were they.
I shouldn't have said that. No. But I was in
Where did you
Iran.
see
I
it?
was in Iran. I saw it in Iran. And
Yeah.
actually, me and my brother, we would always play it. He was Michael Jackson. I was the girl running away. Really. And it
Prepared
came to
you
Iran.
for
The video came to Iran way later than to US, because back in the days we didn't have internet, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it took a while for films and stuff to find its way into Iran, but.
Is that when she was watching TV and there was that weird monster thing?
Oh, the Yazoo video. Yeah, we had to, basically, that was meant to be Thriller. Well, we couldn't.
It's better to be that. Honestly, it's better to be that.
Yeah, well, it was a homage to, what.
It's an homage conceptually, since
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
not there. But. I have to tell you very quickly, I'm dropping a name here, but there's an expression that Jack Nicholson told me never name drop, but I'm about to do it. I was privileged. I used to have lunch with Alfred Hitchcock at Universal. We both had offices there, and a movie came out that was reviewed as Hitchcockian, and because it was clearly taken from Hitchcock stuff, and it was a big success actually. But Hitch was furious that they said Hitchcockian. The critics said it, and so it was all over the ads. So he was going on about it once, and I said, Hitch, be fair. He's not stealing from you. It's an homage. Without a breath, without a moment, Hitch said, "You mean fromage?" So every time I hear that.
Yeah, it reminds you.
Well, it must be nice. Do you ever have that thing where you read somewhere that someone was influenced by your work and then you see it and you're appalled? Because this film is wonderful, and so it's nice. Whenever anyone says that they were influenced.
No, the only thing I did that appalls me is all the terrible movies that came after Animal House. But talk about him and them and their movie. I'm very
more
impressed you
interesting.
got it made in Farsi.
Basically that was the biggest challenge, probably one of the biggest challenges, because when I wrote the script, obviously I had to translate it into English because my agent was sending out to UK-based producers, and I met dozens of producers, and that was the first thing I always came up and said, really interesting script. What language are you thinking? I was like, Farsi. It's like, is there any chance you can shoot it in English? I was like, no, it's just going to look silly. And Wigwam Films, the producer of the film, they came on board, and literally from moment one, they didn't flinch, and they were like, sure, yeah, it makes sense, for the sake of authenticity, and they were very supportive, and they're the ones who managed to find the finance for it.
And you shot it where?
Jordan in Amman, and it was a great location, in my opinion, to recreate 80s Tehran. Certain aspects of it even made me feel nostalgic because there were so many similarities. So,
Yeah, I was curious about that. I mean, obviously shooting in Iran would be prohibitive for various reasons, but was there ever a push to try to shoot this in London?
Yeah, we did consider it, that like maybe we can just shoot it, in London, like get a studio or warehouse. The thing is that early on we just scratched the idea up because, I don't know, there was that Middle Eastern texture you needed, and when we went to Jordan, I realized, this is the right location for it. Yeah.
I could just hear producers being like, it takes place in the house.
No,
And
it's actually my producers were the ones who, like Lucan, who's just like, look, it makes total sense if we go to Jordan and shoot it.
Is there a
right."
tax incentive in Jordan?
He's
No
in
idea.
the audience. Is it Lucan? Say it. You're there. I saw you.
Oh, someone's...
Did you get any benefit from shooting in Jordan, aside from it was cheap? What?
No
No
benefit.
benefit. But you used a Jordanian crew.
Yes, and they were incredible. They were very, very supportive. It felt like a family, and almost all of them were very experienced because a lot of Hollywood films go and shoot there, Transformers and like. Yeah.
Okay, the most impressive thing, how many days did you shoot it in?
21 days. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. It was kind of.
I know nothing about you. So, I mean, nothing other than they called and said, this guy wants you to come. Tell me, is this your first feature?
This is my first
Have you
feature.
made shorts?
Yes. So what paved the way to this is a short film that I made, 2 and 2, which got nominated for BAFTA. And off the back of that, I got signed with my agent. And he said, so what you're planning to do is your first feature. And I was like, I have this Farsi language horror film set in 80s Tehran. It's like, are you sure you want to do that as your first feature?
I'm interested because that's a ballsy thing, mostly because it limits your box office.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's a very, it stems from somewhere personal, and I just thought for first feature, I need to do something that's personal and, different. Yeah.
And your cast came everywhere but from Jordan.
From everywhere. Well, some of the extras are Jordanian, but we pretend they're Iranian. Yeah.
But all the speaking parts.
All the speaking parts, they're all like Persian actors from across the world.
I made a movie many years ago called Into the Night. Which had a lot to do with Iranians, Tehrangeles. And what you learn is when they say Persian, they got the fuck out. When they say Iranian, you don't know. but you can tell right away. There's an interesting thing.
Yeah, it is. True. But it's the same thing. Iranians and Persians are the same, but I don't know. Yeah.
Well, so where did you find her?
It's interesting. So, great actor Navid Negahpon, who plays Abu Nazir in Homeland. He was the one who kindly recommended Narges, and we started chatting over Skype and on the phone. She's LA-based. And we just realized that, oh my God, and then she came to London and we sat down, chat about the script. I was like, this is it. This is my Shida. I found her. Yeah. So,
You spent time in Tehran. You grew up.
No, I did not. I grew up in Germany, but
You were-
yeah, but I was born there, so I had like a few years in Tehran, and I have memories of the war also, just like you.
I thought the most, this is going to sound odd, but the moment that I personally liked the best, because it was so interesting to me, was when she grabs her daughter and gets out, and she's driving, and the guys stop her, and they're the religious police.
yeah.
You know what I'm
And it was
saying?
like, what are you doing? Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. She gets arrested.
And I was
Yeah.
interested the way you know, she's working out to Jane Fonda, and she's obviously very forward, but has to put on the scarf.
As soon as she steps out. I mean, that's the reality in Iran. I mean, people have two separate worlds almost, the world inside their homes and the world outside. And I kind of wanted to play with that like, you know, inside her private space, she's a different person, but then when she steps out, she has to cover herself and be more conservative. Yeah.
This and the Babadook fall into a category of what I call like vasectomy films, and just like the scenes of a person having a child are terrifying enough before anything supernatural happens.
Yeah.
At least to me, I mean, the kid, like it's just scary enough to me that like a kid would leave their doll somewhere.
I want to hear 3 other vasectomy films.
Hold that thought. I'll get back. I liked when you opened it up to the audience
Bad seed.
answers. We'll follow it up. But I wanted to talk to you about working with the child actor in this film. I like the performance in this film because she's not overly precocious. She feels very real and authentic in terms of the performance you got from her.
Where's she from?
Yeah, and just what was that experience? How did you get that kind of work out of her, both of you?
Yeah, well, she's from Iran born, but her family are refugees in London. She's London-based. So I approached the Iranian community and said, we're looking for talented children. And I saw like about 12 kids, not a lot. And as soon as she walked in, I was like, this is her. And when I casted it, and the family was like, okay, here's the deal. We're refugees. We don't have travel documents. So you want to shoot in Jordan? And I turned to my producer and said, that was my only diva moment, I think. I was like, nah, this is her. That's it. I'm not looking for any other children. And yeah, they went, and I don't know what they did, what miracle they pulled. They got her travel documents. I think the Jordanian Film Commission got involved, and like literally last minute, we got her travel documents to get to Jordan. And in terms of working with her, it was amazing. I mean, Narges and I were kind of a team.
He was the good cop. I was the bad cop.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was, yeah, because I played with her before. We got to spend a lot of time, and I was her friend, so I could be mean to her, and then she still loves me.
Not mean, but like more like the mother. She was like the mom, and so yeah, it was
I wasn't mean. That's true.
It was a good cop, bad cop situation that like Narges would be very firm with her. It was like
How old was she?
When it's 6.5. Yeah.
She's very
Yeah,
good.
so,
I mean,
yeah.
really good.
Yeah, we were very lucky, and yeah, but I would be very like, look, you don't want to upset Narges, so let's do this quickly. And then
You know what your character made me think of, really? Do you remember the Farrell, what the hell's his name? Farrell, the singer. Get Happy?
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
What's it called? Whatever. And people were making videos all around the world of singing that.
Yeah.
And those young people made it in Tehran.
In Tehran, they got arrested.
And they got arrested.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that video?
Yeah.
It was interesting because you'd think it was Palm Springs or something. I mean, they were so Western.
Yeah.
And it's just, they got in deep shit.
Yeah, they did. Just for being happy. Yeah.
I like this thing that we're doing. We're opening up to audience answers. We'll get to questions from you guys later. But in the meantime, if you could keep kind of shouting things out as needed. So this film is a bit autobiographical in that your father did.
Yeah, my dad was a doctor. He had to go and serve during the Iran-Iraq War. Every year for a month, he had to go and serve. So yeah, a lot of it comes from, I mean, the sort of the seed of the idea came from conversation I was having with my mom, and how she was saying, as I said, like about Thriller, I was a wimp and my brother was a wimp, and we used to have like loads of like night terrors and nightmares. And my mom was saying that maybe it's her fault because when my dad was away those months, even though she was trying to be a very protective mom, she was really stressed out and anxious, and maybe subconsciously she sort of passed on her fears onto us. And that was like the seed of it. And I was like, oh, that's a great idea for a sort of a horror or psychological thriller. But obviously it's not it's a horror film, so it's not like 100%.
Well, that whole thing about having a VCR was interesting.
Yeah, well, it was illegal until the 90s to own a VCR, and in the 90s then satellite dishes came, which is still a major problem. So now VCR is fine. Yeah.
Wait, satellite dishes are a problem?
Yeah, I mean it's illegal.
They're a problem in China too, because
Yeah.
then you can get stuff you're not supposed to get.
Like like I grew up watching like in the 90s, getting MTV and like CNN, Cartoon Network, and that, it's like Western influence. Yeah.
The one thing that interested me about kind of what you just said is I'm curious why you made the character that was, why doesn't she have a son? Did you decide to make it a daughter?
I don't know. It just came naturally to me that I just wanted the child to be a girl, and one of the reasons I guess is because our next door neighbor when I was a child, there was a girl called Dorsa, and she used to be my playmate, and that's where I got it.
Does she know that she is?
No, I don't even know where she is in the world. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a Facebook connection.
I can't remember the surname. That's the problem. I was actually trying to stalk her, but
eventually, just keep naming your characters Dorsa, and
Yeah,
eventually
until
she'll
one
be
day.
like, hey, I gotta find out what's going on.
Can I tell you, this is my favorite Iranian story. I have to tell you, because this is having worked with a lot of Iranians and Persians. My favorite one is when the Shah was overthrown and the Ayatollah took power. After a few years, Salman Rushdie wrote a book called The Satanic Verses. And the Ayatollah, who I'm sure never read it, felt it was blasphemous, insulting to Muhammad and Allah, and he issued a fatwa. And he said, I want the 50th deadliest assassins in all of Persia, the entire country, the best killers, even from prisons, I don't care. I want them all brought here. And they all come, and they all have daggers and swords and guns. And the Ayatollah says, I want you to go to Salman Rushdie, and I want you to murder him, and I want you to slice his body in 1,000 pieces. And all the assassins, Salaman, bowing on their way out. And just before they leave, he says, wait. And they all turn back. He says, I also want you to find out who wrote Police Academy 5. Sorry.
Is that
That's a Hollywood joke. I'm sorry.
amazing? I like that.
I don't know how to follow that up. So, do you kind of hope that people will watch this film in Iran?
Yes, 100%. Now these days it's not like the 80s. They like get films there instantly. I don't know how. Obviously, you do the math. And there's this thing called the internet, I think. But I think eventually they will get their hands on it. But it won't. I don't think it will ever have like a cinema release there. I mean, I don't think there's anything offensive in it, but I just think they like the authorities there don't like films being made about Iran but outside Iran because it doesn't have their stamp of approval on it. So yeah.
But they ban films made in Iran.
They ban films made in Iran. Yeah, a lot of the Iranian films get released outside Iran, but not in Iran. So.
I mean, their most famous filmmaker kind of can't make movies right now.
Yeah, like Jafar Panahi. Yeah.
Did you see the movie he made in his apartment?
This is not a movie.
This
or
is
whatever?
not a movie.
Have you seen this movie? This is
Yeah.
not a movie. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, and he made the Taxi Terror
yeah.
after that, which was great as well. Yeah.
We're going to open it up to audience questions, I think, now-ish.
Yeah, I have a mic over here.
So there's a system, yeah.
If anyone has, put your hand up, and okay, I'm gonna come to you.
And again, I reserve the right to just like mock you for being brave.
And I don't know who wrote Police Academy 5.
I think it was Salman Rushdie is what makes that weird. You know, he needed to make a little extra money. Midnight's Children wasn't doing that well. That's the odd thing about that. We're ready, yes.
Hi. My parents lived in Iran through the Cultural Revolution. They were there through the Iraq-Iran War, and I just want to thank you so much for bringing to life things that I had only heard stories about. And
Thank you.
I really appreciate everything you did with this film, showcasing how our government isn't who we are, especially in times like this in America. And after the recent death of Kiarostami, I'm just so happy to see a new wave of Iranian filmmakers, and it's so inspirational to me as well.
Thank you so much. It's a great compliment. Thank you. It means a lot coming from a fellow Persian.
Yeah. It's incredible. It's an incredible film. The mixture of real horror and just what it was like to be there during that time with ancient Persian superstition and folklore and that extra layer. Like, it's such an inspiration to see. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thanks for coming and watching. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. It's a great compliment.
Not a question, but a disarmingly sincere comment
Exactly,
from the audience.
Yeah.
I want to talk. So like what I like about this film is that it feels like a traditional kind of gothic horror film in a lot of ways. It's a woman and her daughter. It feels like
It is a traditional kind of gothic horror.
but with just with a different kind of
Setting.
Well, and a different cultural legend rather than just the haunted, creaking old mansion. You have a haunted, creaking, recently bombed, apartment building.
But you have the threat of the bombing. That's what interested me the most, is especially I've spent years in London, and it's just the idea of about to be bombed is terrifying, and keep going down to the basement.
I mean, that was the thing for us. Like, I mean, it was kind of like an invisible war when I was growing up, when Narges was growing up, because you hear the siren and you go downstairs and you just sometimes hear blasts in the distance, but you don't know what's happening. Like, yeah. So.
Well, I'm sorry. Another great moment was when that schmuck, the school, the medical school head guy is telling you can't. He didn't even look. Notice out the window a huge explosion over there.
Yeah.
He
And
kind of
nothing
like,
is.
It was like, yeah, it's normal.
he kind of like shrugs.
Yeah.
Were you worried at all about like? I mean, here in America, the only djinn films we've had are like the Wishmaster series, and I have a lot of questions.
Aladdin?
Aladdin, yeah. Well,
Okay,
that's
yes. Yeah, all right, Aladdin. But in the horror genre.
Thief of Baghdad.
Okay. There's actually, we have a rich history of djinn films here in America.
Yeah.
However, there haven't been that many like indie horror djinn films. Were you worried at all about like kind of like the Aladdin thing, were you worried at all about having to be like, hey, this is scary? And you might not know that.
No, I mean, from day one, what I was telling the producer, it was just like, it's such every culture has that sort of myth of like an evil supernatural entity, and it's that. And I was like, as long as the audience understands that, then that's it. They're sold. It's just realizing that it's sort of an evil sort of entity.
What's interesting about it to me is it's definitely set in Tehran. It's definitely Iranian. But the tropes are all, I mean, it's very traditionally gothic, scary film. And for me, the moment that I went, oh, shit, is when she threw away that whatever it was, because clearly that was a mistake.
Yeah.
Like the cat fur.
The cat fur.
This is going to protect me.
Yeah. And that's true. I mean, one of the major influences for me is Jack Clayton's The Innocents. So, yeah. Exactly, yeah.
I lost a bet with Joe Dante about The Innocents.
Why?
Because I said you'd never, ever see the ghost. But in fact, you do.
You do, yeah.
I was wrong.
Yeah.
I would have lost that bet too. Do we have another question?
Yeah,
out
back
there?
here, over in this corner.
I see.
Hi. Oops, sorry, that was too loud. There was a lot of greatness in that film. It was totally awesome, and I personally don't like horror that much, but that was amazing.
Thank you.
Yes, I wanted to know what was kind of behind your decision to kind of keep it handheld with the djinn and feeling like we're kind of that force that's always over them in the film or kind of sneaking up with them. So I just wanted to know what your thought process was behind that choice.
Well, basically, I kind of wanted to keep it very naturalistic, especially at the start of the film. I always said I kind of wanted to have that Iranian cinema stamp on it, even though it's a horror film. Like, you know, when it starts off, it feels like a social drama, and then bit by bit, as we get more into Shida's head, things shift and becomes more and more sort of, you know, horror. So that was the decision making. You know, handheld. It needs to feel really raw and, you know, naturalistic. Yeah.
Did you shoot in sequence? Because the apartment and also, you know, you get increasingly disheveled. Your daughter gets increasingly like.
No, we didn't. That's great.
How were you able to kind of track that, like keep track of that?
Yeah, I was asking myself the same question. When I was watching it today, I guess I was very focused, and you helped, and we had great people, great makeup, great costume, and that helps.
That's how most movies are shot.
I guess the advantage of a 21-day shoot is you do get tireder and tireder, and your life does fall apart.
Yeah, but I mean, Narges is fantastic and such a great.
We did shoot the last scene on the last day, though. That was our last. Remember
a
the
lot of
cornstarch?
Not all of it, but a lot of it. Yeah. That was
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. We have a
Sorry,
question
next.
over on this
I
side.
see.
1 second.
Hi, love the film, by the way. I was wondering, you said it took 21 days to shoot the film. So how many hours a day were you shooting, and also what was the budget for it?
Ooh.
I think we don't like your question. Yeah.
The truth is, it's what people do not understand. It is a miracle to get a movie made. I admire and respect almost everyone who actually makes a movie because it's hard. Not hard to make the movie, by the way, hard to get the money. And the great irony of contemporary cinema, one of the many fucked aspects of contemporary cinema, is as technology makes it easier and less expensive than ever to make a movie. All you need is an iPhone and a laptop, really. I mean, it's amazing how the tools have changed. It is increasingly difficult to get your movie in a cinema. And it's you know, so when someone makes a movie and whatever route they take, whether it's the festival route or whatever, I always applaud it. And also the idea, I love this guy. I mean, I love the idea of, for my first movie, I want it to be in Farsi. Because, I mean, you must have gotten a lot of, are you sure?
Oh, a lot. I mean, like, people even close to me were like, it's not a good idea, man. Like, shelf it. Like, you know, maybe later, like, in life. It's like, nope. You know, just being stubborn. But I guess it's just when you believe in the story.
Does that mean if it's in England, it's a foreign film? No.
Good question.
Good question. What do you mean by that? Like,
I'm just curious.
Is it a UK production?
What does a producer
it is a UK
say?
production, yeah. But
Lucan?
Wait.
Your turn again.
Is it a foreign film or a British film? UK film.
Is your next film going to be in Farsi?
no, 100% not. You know, enough. It was a great challenge. Might go back to doing another Farsi language film. Who knows? But yeah, next film English.
You did do the traditional. You know, it's a very much a traditional way of getting into features is exploitation or horror. No, seriously, because that's your best odds of getting it distributed.
Yeah, horror films have a built-in audience a bit.
Yeah.
Is your next film going to be a horror film?
No, it's a Hitchcockian thriller.
A Hitchcockian what?
Thriller.
Thriller.
Excellent.
As opposed to a Michael Jackson thriller. You could have a dance number in it.
Yeah, I will turn it musical.
Do we? Yep.
Hi, I love the movie. My question was with the character itself. With this horror movie, you constantly have this battle to try to justify why the character isn't leaving the apartment. What was the process to keep coming up with all these different tactics that the character does not leave, and you have multiple reasons to keep her there. I'm sure that was a huge process and battle.
It was basically, I was trying to plan it in her character's arc. So it starts off, obviously, she doesn't want to go to her in-laws. She's stubborn. She wants to prove a point that, this is my home. And then bit by bit, when the neighbors are like leaving, she's like, oh, shoot, I'm on my own. So I need to leave. But at that point, the doll has gone missing, and her child, really desperately wants that doll back, and she's now falling apart. So, and bit by bit, she's believing in this myth. So I was trying to just, put it in the arc of the character, like the reason. So by the time we're like halfway in, she's adamant that she has to find this doll, otherwise she can't save her daughter.
She was told that.
Yeah, she was told that, and then she increasingly started believing it. Yeah.
You know who's an interesting character is the little boy whose family was killed.
Yeah.
And that's actually, I take it back, not throwing away the thing. My favorite thing was when she was driving and he spoke, but did he?
Yeah. Or did he? Exactly, yeah.
A lot of things that happened we don't know. Did they really happen?
It's up to the audience and
Well,
the way they interpret it.
I do like that you didn't keep her there too falsely. As soon as they got the doll, she's like, all right, I'm driving through the garage door.
Yeah.
Left its head behind.
How many people like the ending?
What?
I was dissatisfied. I was really into the movie, and I thought, what? Wait.
How would have you ended it?
What?
How would have you ended it?
Well, I don't know. I'd have to think about it. I just saw it. I think there's an opportunity for another really scary thing. The question is, does she get away or not? Sam Raimi made a movie called Drag Me to Hell, which is essentially a remake of... No, Nigel Neal wrote it. Night of the Demon.
Yeah.
And what's interesting was that's the end of the movie. She gets dragged to hell. And that is an economic decision. They went, wait a minute, she got dragged to hell? Okay, we'll take $30 million off your box office. Because the audience that went to see it went, oh, we liked her. So I agree that I wouldn't want you necessarily
Get dragged to
hell. Taken, but I don't know. I just went, oh.
But do you remember the head was still there, so you don't know?
Yeah,
She lost the head.
No, that's my point. Clearly, you didn't get away.
The end is like always
You
meant
showed
to
the
be
book
loaded.
again.
Yeah, but isn't it better to always show less than too much and like, I don't know. Yeah. That's
Do you
what
know
I
Stuart,
prefer.
a director named Stuart Gordon?
Sorry?
Do you know Stuart Gordon? Stuart Gordon. He's a
Reanimator.
filmmaker. He made Reanimator.
Oh, yes.
There's a famous thing where there's a famous quote of Sam Goldwyn, which is "less is more," and that's what you just said. Less is more.
Yeah.
Stuart said to me, "No, more is more." Which, if you've seen that movie, it makes sense.
It is, yeah.
And, oh.
Hello, good evening. I'm Kayvon Karami. I don't have any question. Just want to say hello. Just kidding.
No, I was getting ready.
First of all, congratulations to you and your cast, because
Thank
I know
you.
a couple of the cast members and they're a friend of mine. And congratulations to the whole cast ensemble. They're very beautiful work. My question to you is, as far as writing a script, there are two-part questions. By the way, I was during Iraq and Iraq war. I was one of the soldiers there. But how many times did you rewrite your draft? And my second question is, was your dad, that you said he was a doctor, and the connection between him and connecting that to the whole background of the war, was that the only inspiration? And that's my question. Thank you.
Was that the only inspiration? I guess, no, I mean, they were like, obviously I was inspired by like stories that my parents told me, but also stories from family, friends, and relatives, people who lived through that period. So no, it wasn't just the main inspiration. In terms of the writing process, it was great because I was forced to revise it a lot because I had to write in Farsi, then translate it to English because obviously my producers had to read it. They don't speak Farsi. And then during the process of translating it, I changed things. So I had to go back to the original, change it. So, okay, now we have to change the translation. It was great because it kept forcing me to do a, revision after revision. So, but I can't tell you the exact numbers, really. Yeah.
What was both of your absolute worst moment making this film? Like the lowest possible point?
Yeah, you go first.
Sorry,
Oh,
what?
sorry. Your absolute worst. See, people always ask like if you have any funny stories, but they don't understand that making movies is inherently miserable. Yeah, your absolute least favorite moment on set. Yeah, it was the worst part. Most uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, I have one. Remember when we had the floor with the starch, with the cornstarch?
And you got stuck.
I got stuck in there, and I was glued to that floor, and it took a half an hour and four
some guy too.
four guys to lift me out of that cornstarch because I was stuck.
Yeah, she did.
The black goo was...
Yeah. And Narges got stuck in it, and like literally. But then again, it was typical. Like he's like, no, nobody helps me. I can do it.
Yeah.
Like literally for 20 minutes, I know you need help. Clearly. Like,
Traditionally, that's when you say, lunch 1 hour.
yeah, exactly. See you later.
That's true.
Well, I mean, there were like a lot of sort of obviously stressful moments, but I can tell you one of the worst moments for Narges and my DP Kit Fraser was being onto that being onto that the chador at the end, because we were shooting it. It was like them three on the sheet, and they started getting really claustrophobic and dizzy. But it was like, no, one more. And they were like literally on the verge of tears, but
that thing was heavy, and then
you had to go through it,
all
yeah.
the time, and he's in there.
Yeah.
It was like I have big muscles now from that.
How long did you shoot her under the sheet?
It wasn't. Well, I mean, obviously we had to be fast, but
Half an hour?
no more. I think how. Yeah, but I can't remember. But I remember it was too long for them at the end. Yeah.
You're right there.
Hello. Thank you very much. That was a wonderful film.
Thank you.
And my question is is it Narges? Sorry, I don't want to butcher that. But I was wondering if when you get the chance to perform in Farsi, if there's a different kind of emotional tenor to the performance, or if that is distinguished in any way from you for performing in different languages, because there's something so different imparted by the nuance.
I think it does make a difference. Yeah. I mean, if I shoot I grew up in Germany, so I do shoot movies in Germany as well, and I think it does make a difference, because it's a different. I don't know. It's like a different culture comes into it. Like Persians, I kind of feel like they talk a lot, also sometimes with their head, and I try to use that. I mean, I think it does make a difference. I don't know, just to me it does.
You've made films in English too?
Yeah.
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 So, yes. So my point is there any difference between German, Farsi, and English?
Yeah.
In performance?
I think so. You don't think so? I don't know.
I have no idea.
Ask other actors. I don't know. To me, it feels like there is a difference.
Like a switch button.
A switch button, for sure. It helps.
Have you started making your next film yet? Or is
No, it's just I'm writing it, in the process of writing it. So, yeah.
Did you go to film school?
Yes, in London.
Where?
Westminster, University of Westminster. Yeah. And I'm one of those people who really enjoy being in a film school. I learned a lot there. Some people learn on the job, but yeah.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong way.
Exactly.
I mean, unless you like film school, that's weird.
We have time for a few more. Just a couple more.
Great.
Good afternoon. First of all, thank you for sharing your vision and your craft.
Everyone's being very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for being so nice
Yeah.
and all like.
It's because they're drunk. They serve liquor at the camp.
Oh yeah, that's right. I didn't drink because Sorry.
And I do have a question, yes.
Oh, good. Okay.
So obviously, as you mentioned, I liked it, vasectomy genre, as you call it, Babadook, Annabelle, you saw a lot of these influences. And of course, you have a major influence sitting with you right now, and Thriller. But what else in the horror genre was a major influence for you, and what your favorite would be personally?
Well, I mean, I can go on and on and on about the influences, but I can tell you some of the main ones that inspired this with like early Polanski films, the Apartment series, like like Repulsion, Rosemary's Baby, The Tenant, and
I never heard that. That's very funny. The Apartment series.
yeah,
I
mean,
never heard it called. That makes sense.
Yeah, they're all set in an apartment. So, and also The Innocents, British film by Jack Clayton, great atmospheric. The original, The Haunting by Robert Wise, based on Shirley Jackson's novel. Of Del Toro's films, because he loves fantasy story against a real backdrop. That was a great inspiration. Thriller, John Landis.
I didn't see any Thriller in there.
Yeah, but it was the source of nightmare, and that was the main inspiration. That
Do you remember your nightmares? I mean, what scared you? His eyes?
A lot of the things you see in the film were actually the stuff that you see, like waking up and thinking there's a person in your room, or
Christopher Lee, the actor Chris Lee, he told me that when he saw Frankenstein, the original, which he saw on first release, he said that literally for 4 or 5 years, he was like 8. He had a parent had to be in the room till he fell asleep because he was convinced that when he woke up, Karloff would be there, standing at the end of the bed.
Yeah.
And then many years later, they were neighbors.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's so amazing.
And Boris was very amused.
I think we have time for maybe one more.
One more, yeah.
So I hope I make this worth it. So I'm going to confess, I did not know what I was coming to. I just saw it was an Iranian film.
That's the best way to see a movie.
It absolutely was. It turned out to be great. I just saw it was an Iranian film, and I decided it had to come.
Could have been like Under the Shadow of Love.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it should have been. So 2 questions. First of all, as a writer, how long did it take you to write? Did it come quickly? Mm-hmm. Second of all, we kind of touched on the fact that each culture seems to have their boogeymans of sorts. Latino culture, we have La Llorona. In America, we have the boogeyman. But neither of those are in the Bible. So you mentioned in the film, you kind of hinted that it was in the Quran,
yes.
that the jinn. Is that short for genie, first of all?
Yeah, basically, did you say is that like genie in Aladdin?
Yes.
Yeah, basically in Aladdin, genie is a jinn trapped in a lamp. I guess in the translation, it became a genie.
So I guess I'm just kind of curious as to, in the Quran, how is this? How did the jinn evolve, or how extensive is it mentioned in the Quran, and then or in the Quran, and then why did you? When the pages were flipping at different points, I know it was her medical book, but at times I thought that at some point it was going to hone in on that. But I'm just kind of curious as to what the Quran says about the jinn.
Sure. Basically, about jinn, I guess you can compare jinn to demons in Bible. Like, it's very similar. It's the whole old story of like God created man and created jinn, but then showed like men are his favorite creation. So jinns, some of them got angry and jealous, so they just harm humans. So in that sense, it's very similar to demons, really. I guess it's like actually a Middle Eastern take on demons. And to answer your first question, the story and the idea came to me very fast, very, very quickly. Writing process, it took a while because I had a full-time job working at MTV, so I only could write it in the evenings and during the weekends. So it took 2 years before I got to a place that my agent actually sent it out. And then when Wigwam Films optioned it, the producer came on board, we spent another year developing it further, tweaking it based on their notes. And and then after a year, they locked the finance and we just went off.
What was your job at MTV?
Video editor. Yeah. But early on, when MTV was doing a lot of music, they don't now. I was directing some of the live sessions as well, like bringing artists in the studio and then shoot with multi-cameras and then go and edit it, which was great learning experience. Yeah.
I think we're going to wrap it up there. But
I'd like to give a final round of applause to everyone up here: Simon, Babak,
Thanks so much
Narges,
for
and
coming.
John.
Thank you.
Do you want to remind everyone when the film's coming out?
7th of October, it will be released theatrically in the U.S. So please.
Yeah, thanks so
spread
much
the
to
word.
Vertical and XYZ. Will be putting it out, bringing the film. Thank you guys. And if you guys have some time to kill, we have a space next door, free booze, food, parking lot right next to the Ace. You guys can all get in. Go and enjoy. Thanks.